I'm going to talk to you about specialist finance and talk to you about the journey that I've been on personally over the last couple of years. There's quite a lot of memories being here, actually. So Northerner, as you can probably tell from my voice. Loan.co.uk being the first brokerage that I set up was literally a 5-minute walk just down the road in a abandoned building, if I remember correctly. It was pretty much. I'm the director of Master Finance Specialist Brokers, and I've done this for 20 years. So we've got some people in here, such as Working It Together. We've got Together with us today, who you can come and speak to as well a little bit later on. 20 years doing financial services. I'd just like to point out, one of my colleagues felt it important to point out I am the one on the left as well, just to make that perfectly clear. The main part for this, where I'll be talking to you, is about overcoming difficulties and resilience through challenges that you'll come across through your working life. 2 years ago, I had no previous medical conditions. I was amateur bodybuilder, and I caught COVID-19. And I had an illness for 1 week, which was a pretty mild illness. And then after 1 week, I was hospitalized with a suspected heart attack. And 2 years ago, we thought I would die. 1 year ago, I was using a walking stick. And then 2 years, here I am today, coming over it through resilience. Thank you. Thank you very much. And one of the key things from that is, when you're faced with COVID, and I'm sure there are plenty of people in this room who have either been through a long COVID experience or know someone with a COVID experience. And unfortunately, when you go to the doctor, because this virus is quite new and untreated, there is no treatment, there is no medicine, there is no cure. So you can be surrounded by people, but be exceptionally lonely. Because ultimately, when I said to the doctor 2 years ago, will I die? She said, we don't know. And that was how you were left. So you are in a position where you get better or you die. So what do you do? At that point, I'm running a business. I have people who depend on me for their mortgages. I have people and clients, and then I have myself. Did I go down in terms of mental health? Of course, because I'm a human being. But you will go up, you will go down, and you will go on a journey. And one thing that I discovered from it was very similar to running the 2 previous businesses. They start off, and sometimes you sit there and think, why is this just not working? What on earth is going on? And then you wake up one day and it's working, and you can't even put your finger on it as to say why it has suddenly started to perform. Very similar to the journey with COVID. Some days you feel like you just want the world to swallow you up because you don't actually know whether you're going to get better and no one can help you. And then other days you just get a little bit better and then you start to improve. And then you get to the point where you are here, and it is almost identical into running a business, because you are going to have periods where you go up and you have periods where you go down. It's how you overcome them. From that, may I ask for a glass of water? Okay. From that, one of the things to identify when it comes to COVID is that mindset element, which you're all going to need. That was all I had. And what I learned from it, your brain, your mind, is your greatest ally, but also your worst enemy at the same time. And what you have to do in business, as you do when you uncover illness, thank you so much, thank you. You have to control your mind. How did I get rid of it? Positive mental attitude. I'm not going to tell you here the secret is to have an ice bath at 5 o'clock in the morning, or the secret is to get up at 5 o'clock and run around with nothing on. I'm not going to tell you any of that, or mindfulness. Some things worked for me, some things didn't. I tried every supplement on planet Earth and figured out that it was ultimately just my mind. And you as an individual controlling that within business, you are going to have good days. You're going to have wins. And then you're going to have bad days. How you overcome those individual setbacks is how you will grow your business and how you will succeed. So what is us? So what is this business? So Loan.co.uk, when we set that up, was very traditional in the sense that it emerged after the 2007 crash. They wanted to charge 10% broker fees on second charges, very same as everybody else who existed in the market. 71% of regulated brokers do not consider specialist finance. Why? Because it's expensive and you don't trust us, pretty much. That's how it goes. So a marketing idea and a great opportunity would be, what if we had a brokerage where everybody trusted it and we didn't rip people off and just charge people a fair amount? Say hello to MFSB, because this is where we decided it was appropriate to figure out how much it truly costs us to process the second charge. So second charge inquiry would come into us. If you are applying for a second charge via Google, let's say, which we'll talk about in a short while, you'll go to one brokerage, you will pay a 10% fee on that second charge. So it's a £5,000 fee for borrowing £50,000. Hands up if that's fair. Nobody thinks that's fair, but that is what everybody is charging. So I said, well, if it's costing me £745 to process the second charge, I'll charge £995. Does anyone think, fairly, £995 is reasonable to charge for a second charge application? Yeah. Ta-da! Then we win. Did that make me public enemy number one with all of my compatriots? Of course, but I don't mind that very much. Ethics, expertise, client focus, and brand. So, who are you? And that's a question you have to think about yourself when you're on your journey. Who are you? What is your skill? What is your expertise? Do you genuinely care about your client? Because we do. And that makes us very, very different in the specialist space. But who are you and what is your brand? What are you driven by? I could increase fees tomorrow across the board and be loaded and go to Bali and then have a lovely life. But that's not fair and that's not reasonable. And then that's not also future-proofing the business. So you as an individual here, hands up if you introduced a specialist at the moment. Does anyone do specialist? And keep your hand up if you think the fee they charge is fair. You must introduce to me. You and your brand and how it goes carries forward. So I worked with Terry for 13 years, probably something like that. Yeah. We built a relationship on trust and loyalty. So Terry, now being an experienced developer, can literally send me a Rightmove link, tell me how much he's going to spend on it, and I'll go, okay, we'll bridge that.
Yeah, so meant to do that as well.
With no fee. Yeah. And sometimes I go, what's this? Not so sure. You build that over time. I want my business to be known as being the best, not for being the richest and not for being the biggest in the whole overall industry, because that's how I sleep at night. That's what's important to me. That's what should be important to you overall. So our fee model, ultimately what we did is we changed it with bridging finance, where for those who are doing bridging finance, and I'll talk about the specialist product shortly, the proc fee which you get on bridging finance is particularly high. So our loans, I would say, our average is around 600,000. That means if you were doing a bridge with us, you would earn half of that at £6,000. So it's reasonably chunky. So for me and my business, well, what if I charged as low as I possibly can on second charges? Because that's primarily what you are going to see as my introducers. Because that's where I get my business, from other introducers. You trust me. You think it's fair, you think it's reasonable, and all I need from you is one bridge every 3 months for my business to make profit. That's it. On where we stand with our fees, so we're the lowest fee charger in the whole of the UK. Now we could go out massive and we can advertise that and then we drown. So we keep it quiet, we keep it subtle, and we keep it to rooms like this where we want to work with other introducers. So you can't access us through direct to consumer, you can only access us through other financial industry providers. I'm jumping about on the points a little bit because it all does blend together, but particularly with our fee model, it does feed in to the trust element. And I know we were talking about fees a little bit earlier on with Ian and what he was looking at, but it does link in with the trust, because if I have a client who has been to Google, so we can go to my next slide. I'm going a bit fast through mine, but Google is not your friend. And ChatGPT, unfortunately, is not your friend. Because I often hear, I don't see a lot of bridging, which isn't true. What you're actually saying is, I don't know how to recognize a bridge, or I don't know when it is a bridge. And that's where you need to be able to have a trustworthy and honest conversation. Now, I have ADHD, I don't treat it, I am neurospicy, so if you get me on the phone, be prepared for 5 conversations at once. But I want to have that conversation with you. So if you're working on your own and you've had a boring day, give me a call because I'll make it colourful. One of the reasons why this is important to me is when I was running loan.co.uk, I was doing around £1 million a month in second charges just on my own in loan value. So I knew the legalities and I knew the process and I knew the behaviour, but we'd never done bridging finance. We'd always outsourced that. We'd always said we didn't really want to do that. Then we said as a business, let's have a dabble at bridging. And I called a lender and asked them what GDV is. Now, GDV, to those experienced or know, is gross developed value. So if you're doing some refurbishment work to a property, that's its end value. Now, I didn't know that. I wasn't stupid, but I was learning, and the lender laughed at me, and to this day doesn't get my business. Because how you educate people in this market is one of the most important ways of building trust and loyalty. I could tell you anything about a product you don't understand and you would repeat that to the client, but I could be lying through my back teeth because I just want to make money. The difference with working with us is we want to make sure that you fully understand what you're doing and we want to educate at the same time. So there are people in here who are actively introduced to me currently at the moment and will know about working with us. You're having a conversation and we're not making you feel stupid. I go back to the GDV point. If you don't know the answer to it, we're going to explain it to you and explain why it's right. Now, I personally, within my business, advise on regulated bridging. Sam really wants his regulated sign-off, but I'm very protective over it because it is the highest risk product that you can have. It's more high risk than equity release because there is an end date. So if you had regulated bridging, you would speak to me. You do see bridging, the short-term lender. So the information that Roger had before, Google why this point is particularly important, which I'll keep coming back to. If you have a client who calls you and says, do you do bridging finance? You say, no, I don't do bridging finance. I think it's too expensive. No, I don't do bridging finance because I don't understand it. Go figure it out. Or, no, I don't do second charges. Go figure it out. They will go here because a client's not going to listen to you and say, all right, no problem. Thanks, Barry. See you later. I'm not interested now. I don't want to buy that house. I don't want to do that investment. I don't want to consolidate my credit. They are going to go somewhere else. You might absolutely love them. They might love you. You might have done every mortgage for them over the past 20 years. If they go to Google, they will go to Money Supermarket. That's where 86% of all second charge loans are done. That is a 10% fee. Money Supermarket gives to one broker in the whole country. They do not hand it out, and the client, you may well have done it yourself. If you're going online and you're having a look for a consolidation loan, it will ask if you are a homeowner and then say, what about this lender? But you don't know that that is a secured loan, and you don't know that broker's charging 10% because they hide it, and you don't know you're going to be passed to a third party. I don't believe that that's reasonable because it's still a mortgage. I believe someone needs proper advice and they need to be paid properly for it. Now, where this is a risk, that one broker, who is massive, and I won't name, but that one broker also does protection insurance, also does investment mortgages, and also does remortgages. So if you say, I don't do second charges, and they go to Money Supermarket, you might love that client, but you have lost them forever. And that's how it's going in the market. This is about insulating your product variables so you can keep hold of your client. You have to introduce to someone who you trust. Now, you're only going to be able to do that with us by having conversations. And this is what I want to do, is to properly introduce myself, explain the services that we provide, but then say also it's an opportunity to just pick up the phone and call. And I love talking. So please do call me because it enhances my day. Why it matters so much in 2025. Hands up if you think the housing market is hot. Wow. But it is in bridging. It's one of the only growing products within finance currently. Why? The Chinese have a word for crisis and opportunity, and it's the same one. Because what is a crisis for one person is an opportunity for another. Stalled market, lower prices, difficulty in selling, problems with chains equals bridging. That's why bridging finance goes up. What is it? It's exactly what it says on the tin. I have a short-term lending objective with an exit, which is also most important. Do you think the first charge market has more lenders than the bridging market? Yes or no? No. There are over 400 bridging lenders in the unregulated space who will take direct applicants. It's almost 3 times more than the number of lenders in the regulated main market. Why? Because if you don't go via a broker and you take that bridge and it goes wrong and you can't exit it, you have no rights. You will lose that property and there's nothing you could do. If you go through an FCA regulated broker like us, which makes up probably about 12% of the brokers available in the market because they think it's risky, we will then give you advice because we recognize a bridge has to be made up of an entry and an exit. So if your client is going, I do this myself, I go direct to the lender. Do we think they're ever going to read the terms and conditions? So you've got to be very, very careful and always guide. And if they say that they've got a quote on a bridge, there's no harm in a second opinion. We don't charge any upfront fees. And if the bridge is over 150,000, there's no fee at all. This is what we do. So this is just a headline on some of the stuff that we do, but it's plentiful. One of the joys with bridging finance is we can effectively build a product. If you've got equity in properties or in purchases, we can put something together for you which is flexible and easy to understand. We all know when a client comes to you and says, I want this, we know that's not always necessarily right. And that's why they should always, particularly for a product which is basically, here's a load of money, don't pay anything, see you in 12 months, and if you don't pay it back, we'll repossess you. Well, it sounds pretty awful when you say it like that. Bridging, second charges, we also do buy-to-let, we do HMOs, any auction finance, anything unusual. 100% LTV, bet you've never seen that for a while. 100% LTV, below market value purchase. If someone's getting around 25% off the value of a purchase, we can go against the market value and do 100%. Or if they've got equity in their home, which I've done for some people who are in here, we can take a second charge bridge because they might not have the cash capital, but what if they've got a load of money sat in the property and they say to you, we want to start investing in properties, and you say, well, I can only get you a little bit on a remortgage. Bridge it. You bridge it. Talk to us. I don't need you to know the rates or whether it meets criteria. I just need you to talk to me. That's the main thing, because then we'll educate on multiple other products and we'll spot areas like any legal issues and anything which can impact the client. Now, obviously, if we've got someone who used Terry again as an example working together, we've grown his portfolio together. And as of yet, you've not been repossessed, so you've done okay. We are the lowest fee charger. So how do we get away with it? Do we make money on it? I make no money on second charge fees. None. It costs £745 for us to process it. We charge £995, and then we've obviously got ancillary costs on top of that at the side. Nothing. So why do I want it? Because I want you to have access to a product which is equitable and easy to access and easy to understand. Then you will continue talking to me, because this will be the one thing that appears the most, the second charges. And we've got a full second charge team for you to come and have a conversation with. No fee on bridging over 150k. How much do you think, anyone, you can shout out a number, the average fee for bridging on the market? 1% of the amount you're borrowing as a broker fee. And we don't charge anything. So we had one yesterday, someone was borrowing 1.5 million for a regulated bridge and the broker was charging a 2% fee on top of the 2% proc. Really ugly, right? And they can get away with it. I don't believe in that, so there would have been no fee on that for us. What does that mean? If you bring me a quote where I am in competition with somebody else, I will win, always, because I am not charging a fee. I also have relationships with lenders that go back 20 years. So if we're in competition on rates, I have a lender here nodding along as well going, I want this rate to win. I'm getting that rate. That's how we work, because we want to win the product and do right by you. When it comes to the payment for you on bridging, we're also very different to how other people work in the market. We don't make up costs and deduct costs and then pay you afterwards. You get a true 50%, so 1% of the loan amount. You get half of it. We don't take anything else off, whereas everyone else is probably paying somewhere in the region of about 30 or 40%. This is one thing that I like, is the buy-to-let side of things. We do package for buy-to-let. We've got all of the lenders. So if you are in need of an admin resource, you're not quite ready to go and get an AI processor, but you would quite like us to process it for you, we can package your buy-to-let case for any lender. You still earn the same commission. On a Brucey bonus, for every completion that you do on every product with us, you also get a £50 voucher for anywhere of your choice. So every month I'm probably spending about £4,000 or £5,000 on Amazon vouchers. Tesco's become popular recently, but as it's Christmas, people have been saving them up. Remember the £1 scheme we used to have at Asda and they'd save up the stamps? That's what we've got currently at the moment. How do you become successful? I bet if you asked anyone who you perceive as successful in this room, are they successful? They would say no, or they've not quite done it yet. I've not quite reached my full potential yet. One of the greatest ways to become successful, allies, friends, mentors, loyalty. You may have seen that meme where you see the iceberg just above the ocean level, ocean sea level, and you only see the tip, but you don't see everything else that goes with it. No one here who you perceive as successful has done it on their own. Fact. Nobody. There's always a helping hand. There is always someone behind the scenes guiding them along, giving them a push, giving them guidance, mentoring and support. Use it as an example with a lender. If we need to get something done, I might be ringing someone I've not spoken to in 15 years who's head of underwriting at a lender saying, please help me, please get this approved. They will do it if they like you. I don't even think it's reinventing the wheel. Micro gain, micro drag. You're nice to me, I'm nice to you. And if I've got a problem with something, I'm still nice and I'm reasonable, you're much more likely to get a yes than me going, why the bloody hell have you declined this case? It's not going to work because the person's going to go, idiot, see you later. And that's how we run our business. How you treat people and your consistency is important. Now, that's not about being a pushover or being a curber, but you have to start recognizing in the modern age that businesses are organic and the people within them are organic. If you spend a lot of time on training and developing someone, you need to start being there for them in a way which is a little bit different to what we're used to from maybe 15 years ago. You have to be understanding of the issues that people face in their daily lives. You have to be flexible and you have to start giving people an understanding and recognizing sometimes actually if you are running a business, you might actually step into the role of mum or dad occasionally. That is something you have to bear in mind and you have to start being there for people because if you are, people will stay with you because they like you and they trust you, not because of the paying conditions that you give them. You have to make sure that in the modern age, you are being more reasonable with people and take time to talk to them as people, what goes on in their lives. This is the hardest bit for me. I want you to believe in my dream. This is what I want for my business. This is my vision. But I've got someone working for me who's absolutely money mad. But my vision is different. Consistency, passion, truth. If you're truthful from top down, why am I doing this? So I say to Sam and I say, these are the reasons why I'm charging so low. This is the reason why we look after clients in this particular way. When they buy into your dream, your job gets 50% easier because they will lift you along. You then start hearing them having conversations and challenging people in a way you would challenge somebody. Bring people along with your dream and be honest and authentic in the way that you deliver things. You've got to be patient. Just like going back to the COVID story, how many days did I wake up and go, not another day. Over time, you start seeing it as like a loop with your business. Your previous high, your current high, is better than your previous high, and your current low is higher than your previous low. That's the way the business goes. Labor it, perseverance and determination. But remember, people and loyalty, your brand. Who are you? Not your business, but who are you? If you want people to believe you and to follow you, understanding who you are is ultimately the key. I'm just ahead of schedule. Thank you very much.